Good afternoon and welcome to the Return Homestead. My name is Mike and my wife Marty and I homestead 50 acres in southeastern Kentucky. We've been out and about today. We made a little trip out to our favorite meat store. It's called Showalter's Meats. It's an Amish place out in the middle of nowhere, about a 3-mile drive down a gravel road just to get good, simple meat products. So we got the freezer stocked up. The other thing we're concerned about or paying attention to is the temperature. It's been getting colder in the evenings, and we want to make sure we have plenty of wood to burn through the winter. We do use electrical to keep things warm during the day, but at night we like to use the fireplace to keep things heated. And we've got a bunch of this beech that we cut down just the other day. We've pulled up a bunch of fence posts, but there is still a lot of wood that needs to be bucked out for the fireplace. So that's what we're going to get busy with here. So last time we were out in the woods, we were working here in front of the cave, trying to take down some of these smaller trees that are overhanging the road and dropping a ton of leaves down on the road. Now I'll do what I can to clear these leaves off because they do create an erosion problem if they're left in place. So we'll be clearing about, about 1.5 miles of roads trying to get all these leaves off. And rather than do that again next year, we're going to take down most of these trees. But the main reason we're down here taking down trees is to clear out the view from our 2001 Fleetwood we're doing the remodel on. So a lot of these trees do grow up well past the cliff face, and they do impede that view. Now this big one that is right up next to the cliff is sort of a focal point. I've been staring at that tree for 2 years trying to figure out how we're going to safely get it down. We've got the cliff face in the way going this direction. And while I might be able to drop it on the road, we've got a couple of other large trees right on the other side of the road that it could get hung up in. And if it were to get hung up and then bounce off in the wrong direction, we're going to lose it all the way down in the bottom there where the creek is. So we've been working for, like I say, 2 years. And over the last 2 years, we've decided this tree definitely has to go. It's too large, too close to the house. But we've got to fell it along the cliff. And dropping that tree down into all of those little scrub trees is not going to work. And that's why we're clearing the top of this ridge so that we can drop this massive poplar tree parallel to the cliff face. So we're going to keep working here. This beech does burn fairly well, even though it's not seasoned. So we're going to use a lot of this even this year. All we're going to do is get it cut up and dragged up the hill. So I'm going to get at it. Don't be fooled by the size of the branch. These things can have a large impact when you cut them loose wrong. So as this branch broke loose, it pitched down on my saw and nearly pulled me off the hillside. Normally, we would want this wood to sit and season. Usually, you want it to season for about a year. There are moisture meters you can get to measure the moisture content of the wood. The drier the wood, the cleaner it's going to burn, and the more heat you're going to get out of it. Some of the wetter wood simply won't burn. So there's many trees out there you can cut down, like the poplars. You can split that up and try to burn it all you want, but if it's freshly cut, it's just not going to burn well. This beech burns fairly well. There's oils in the bark and in the wood itself that allow it to go ahead and burn even though it's wet. So we're going to be burning a lot of this beech this year because it does give us a good bit of heat even though it's wet wood. We do have only a limited amount of fairly well seasoned wood, so we're going to have to supplement with this stuff. And we've probably got enough here right now, just from what I brought up so far. Oh, there's at least 3, possibly 4 nights worth of wood in here. It may not sound like much, but our furnace does not kick on during the evening. As long as we've got a fire going, we don't need to run the furnace. It saves us a ton of money on electricity. So the last 2 years that we've been here, we've used the fireplace as effectively as we could. We've saved about half on our electric bills. Once we get the remodel done on the other house, we'll be putting in a wood stove down there. And the wood stove will allow us to generate quite a bit more heat. That house does seem to be better insulated as well. We're hoping to use that as our sole source of heat in that house. So that was a fairly full trailer, about all I can haul up the hill at one time with the four-wheeler. I've got at least one more load down the hill still. You may be wondering, are we concerned that somehow the power is going to go off and we're going to need this wood in order to survive? It's possible. I'm not looking forward to the power going off anytime soon. But then the folks in Texas a couple of years ago weren't expecting it either. They thought the power would always be on until it wasn't. So yes, there is a certain amount of safety that's built into having all this wood up here and being able to heat the house with the wood. But for us, it's really a question of self-sufficiency. We want to take care of as many of our basic needs right here on the homestead that we can. It's not that we're antisocial. We think that the things that we have been able to accomplish as a group have been absolutely amazing, but we've lost something along the way. There's a step in life where you want to step forward and begin to help other people. And too often, I think people reach adulthood and they're reaching forward to that next step to try to be a help to other people, to make a contribution in society. And they haven't even figured out how to take care of themselves yet. They've had parents that have told them what to do, schools that have told them what to think, and they've had all of their meals, clothing, housing, heat, all provided for them. They've never actually had to survive, and therefore they really don't know how to help other people. It's always been my opinion that if you want to help others, you're first going to have to learn how to help yourself. If you can be self-sufficient, if you can go out into the world and pick up the resources that are available and meet your needs with those resources, there's a lot better chance you're going to be able to help others. And that's really what this is all about. We're just trying to take care of our basic needs right here on the homestead. Yeah, I know there's machines out there to do this that'll do it much faster, but I don't need a gym membership. I kind of enjoy sitting out at the end of the day, splitting down a few logs to make a fire at night. I could stand out here for hours on end, split up all the wood I needed for the entire season at one time. But in the winter, things get kind of dull and boring. There's not a whole lot going on around the homestead. So having the daily chore of needing to get out and split wood for heat is a welcome thing. This beech splits down pretty easy. Some of the larger logs have a tendency to have a twist in them. Those can be a little harder to split. Splitting down most of these right now because it's not that cold just yet. We want to keep the fires relatively small. We don't need a big roaring fire. We can push the temperature inside up to about 70 degrees with just a small fire. A big roaring fire, we can get up to 75, 76. We just don't need it that warm inside. Yes, we do have a heat pump. We use electricity for heat. So we don't technically need to burn wood. At least not to stay warm in the wintertime. There's other reasons for burning wood besides warmth. Probably the biggest reason for doing it, so that we know that even under the worst conditions, we can take care of ourselves. We can make sure that we have the heat that we need. We can grow a garden. We can make sure we have the food that we need. And all we needed to get started was the land and a willingness to do a little bit of extra labor. And it's a lot better lifestyle than what we were living before. That 9 to 5 grind of trying to figure out how you're going to earn just a little bit more money so you can afford to pay that electric bill that just went up another 30% this year. Man, that's rough. And there's no end in sight to it. Every time you finally manage to raise yourself up a little bit and get a little bit larger income, something else comes along that takes it away from you. And there's only one solution to that, and that's to get out of the rat race. You got to escape it. That's why we make these videos. We want to encourage everyone that they can escape. You can return to the land, return to labor, and return to life. It just takes a commitment to do it. I think that's good for my workout for the day. That's more than enough wood for tonight. It does take a lot of work to build your own fire, especially starting from scratch. You can, of course, go out and buy the wood that you need. We've done that for the last 2 years, just buying the wood as we needed it from other people who break it down and split it up. There's a lot of different mills around here that will use the cut ends as firewood. A lot of the folks that work in those mills will split that up throughout the year and sell it off during the winter. We've got some of the birch that we just cut. Got a couple of branches from that pear tree. These are really good for starting the fire. They are extremely dry, they burn easily, and they burn very hot. We've also got some of the branches from the hemlock. They don't burn so hot, but they are relatively dry and they burn easily, so they're really good for starting the fire. And we'll just grab some more of this birch. So we have plenty to feed the fire tonight. So we got to cut down the tree on the property. Break that tree down into smaller logs that can be split. Then we haul them up here to the barn, offload and stack them. And then as I need it, I split the wood and use a little wheelbarrow to haul it up to the back porch. Once it's on the back porch, it's all about making a fire. Step one for the fire, clean out the ashes from the last fire. Make sure you're using a metal bucket. You may think these ashes are all cold, but it is possible for hot coals to hide inside of these ashes. If you use a plastic bucket, sooner or later you are going to melt a hole in it. And we are just going to fill this back up with ashes again tonight, so we don't have to get it perfectly clean every time we clean it out. That ought to get it. I always like to start my fire with a nice big log in the back. I'm just going to layer in these little sticks, leaving lots of air gaps. Plenty of room for air to move around through here. Allow the flames to move slowly up and around the sticks. Get them all burning nicely. If you're wondering what you use to start the fire, if you've been shopping at Amazon, they send lots of good fire starter with every order. I usually use a little paper, newspaper, or some other type of paper. Junk mail is a great way to start a fire. And then drink boxes. So cardboard is an excellent way to start a fire. I don't want the cardboard to burn super fast, so I kind of roll it up a little bit. Slow it down some. So it may not seem like much to go out and burn wood. Anybody can take a match and set wood on fire. But can you warm up your home? Can you provide for your family's needs during the winter if there's no electricity or if you can't afford the electricity? That's really what we're trying to encourage people to do, is to look back into our past, set aside some of the specialization that you have, and get back to the basics. The simple art of making fire in order to heat your home. That's why I wanted you to see that today, starting from down on the hill, taking trees down, bucking them out, bringing them up to the barn, splitting the wood, getting it inside, and actually building a fire. It is an entire process, and it does connect from one end to the other, and you get to learn something more about how to take care of yourself. When you've gotten proficient at that, when you can take care of your own needs, then you're ready to go out and try to help society and help take care of other people's needs. But you need to start with that first one, you. Return to the land, return to labor, and return to life. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please go ahead and do so. Please give us a thumbs up while you got the window open so everybody knows you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time.